Hi everyone, welcome to Nokia's Cloud Packet Core video series directly from Finland. I'm Bela Patakfalvi and I invited Marcelo Madruga, Head of Technology for Core, to discuss automation, IT simplifying network operations and our visions for the future. Hi Marcelo, thank you for participating in our video series. Can you please share your views on what is automation and why it is important?
Oh, absolutely, Bela. Thank you as well. Automation is important. It's become very, very important on the CSPs because as the network's getting more complicated, more disaggregated with the 5G core, so the only way to drive that is through automation. So you need a lot of automation to drive that efficiency, able to build networks, reconfigure networks, and whatever you need to operate the networks in a more automated fashion. So you can actually do that very effectively. So it's a very key point what everyone should be looking for.
So how are CSPs operating their networks today and what are the main challenges they face?
So today what we see in the market is that there's a lot of siloed automation where a lot of bespoke solutions happening. So what is hard to integrate, different to evolve. So what they look for is something new in a way to drive the harmonization of the automation. So we have now the cloud native with Kubernetes bring a lot of possibilities. And as we have our complete portfolio ready to cloud native, when the operators are deploying cloud native, they should use Kubernetes-based approach, for example, like Git and GitOps, to drive the automation. And at some point, we build everything via intent.
What solution do you think fits best and why?
So like I mentioned a little bit, so we need to look into what the IT has been doing with Kubernetes, since have been doing a little bit earlier than Telco. And when you think about automation, managing artifacts, I think the GitOps approach is the best one. So you can control all the artifacts in a configuration as code manner. You control the artifacts, you can manage them, operate them, and then you can drive all the automation. So at the end of the day, we need to bring the abstraction so that everything needs to be driven via intent, and with GitOps being the engine behind. I think that's one very wonderful solution to address that. So, Bela, in your opinion, what's the main aspects of orchestrating such complicated applications on the network?
As you mentioned, the complexity. When we look at both the infrastructures and the application side, we talk about these kind of complexities to be deployed, managed in an automated fashion. So when we look at the first aspect of orchestrations, we have to specifically define what we want. We're talking about business intents, network intents. You mentioned those ones as well. Beyond those topics, we look at actually that what are the typical environment where we are deploying our products. We talk about multiple environmental deployments, public cloud, private cloud, or let this be on-premise type of deployment. And one of the other aspects that is important from orchestration perspective, we look at that how the operational models look like, to do all those things in an error-free efficiency perspective in a repeatable fashions in order to achieve maximum efficiency from that one. And that brings down the operational errors and improves the cost of deployments and management of our networks. And you also mentioned a few tools there which are very important, and specifically when we look at the orchestrations of the infrastructure as well as the applications, the approach would be the best if we can harmonize these tools on common grounds. You mentioned like Kubernetes, which is actually giving us a perfect point to automate in a similar fashions, infrastructures, as well as the applications, and words like GitOps, or we're talking about initiatives from Nephew. Those are an important aspects when we look at these parts. And these kind of aspects or orchestration aspects are used in modern worlds of DevOps in a cloud-native environment.
So Bela, with all the technology you just said, so what are the aspects that the CSPs need to consider when implement automation, for example, in the packet core networks?
Especially when we look at packet core, which is typically larger scale network type of deployment, both on the user plane or control plane level, we're talking about many network elements. In order to actually have efficiency on packet core, automation is almost becoming table stake discussions. Otherwise, this kind of large amount of network elements would be very difficult to orchestrate and manage and deploy, especially when we look at like configuration side, rolling out configuration. Specifically, we look at like roaming scenarios, APN, DNN type of scenarios. In a mass scale type of deployment of changes would require automations from that perspective. Those are the key characteristics when we look at packet core. Otherwise, packet core is also a cloud native functions for us. Therefore, the similar type of deployment practices are used as it was used with our portfolio products.
So, Bela, what's the advantage that Nokia brings in that domain? So why CSPs should select Nokia?
So when we look at our Nokia's portfolio, first and foremost, all our products in the portfolio has been enabled as a cloud-native functionality to fit into the evolutions of automations and use those Kubernetes-based type of automations that we mentioned. We also do have actual domain and network level automation products that is orchestrating the network functions, configuration type of changes, and so on and so forth. But also when we look at the larger autonomous operational aspects, we talk about also service orchestrations that is also Nokia is providing to have end-to-end and cross-domain type of automations. But let's also mention that in order to do like closed-loop automation, it's very important that we take care of also the analytical side of the autonomous operations, and Nokia is also providing solutions, products to that one that consolidates data, aggregates data, creates decision-making points for automations. That way we can actually have this closed-loop automation. So all in all, Nokia is providing a full set of portfolio that enables the futures of autonomous operations for our CSPs. So now that we are coming to the end, do you have any final words?
I think we had a good discussion about automation, but I would simplify in three main aspects on the automation. One, the landscape is changing. We need to move out from the traditional monolith approach and embrace the cloud-native capabilities. With that, we have additional set of tools and process that allow us to achieve automation in a large scale for cloud-native networks. And the third one, if able to harmonize that and use the concept of configuration as code to manage the artifact, which is a very important part, then we can have a single pane of glass where we can operate really very efficient the network. I think those are the three more important, which I will summarize.
Thank you, Marcelo. It was a great discussion.
Thank you, Bela. Great to be here.